All right. How's everybody doing on this Monday evening? Welcome to my channel. My name is 12 Gauge. This is my channel, 12 Gauge Investigative. If you've never been here before, thank you so much for being here on this evening and actually taking the time to spend some time with the 12. You know, today's been a weird day for me. Not only because of this case, but when it comes to real life is more than YouTube. It's more than cases. And I don't know how many of you that are watching that are creators, but you know what? There's times when you get to that point where you get a little burnt out from living real life and then talking about other people's lives. It does get a little wearing. I think today I was having one of those days, and sometimes life kicks you in the gut, and all you can do is swallow, get up, and keep on walking. That's all you can do. Because sometimes life isn't fair. The good guy doesn't always win. And not everything always makes sense the way we want it to. And this is one of those cases that's turning out to be just like that. I want to start off by showing a video of what David the Entertainer is kind of like according to these videos. I never knew this man until this case, so I'm still learning him just like y'all are. So I know I've heard a lot of stuff, regarding the victim that was found in his car. Hello, Aquarius. Thank you for being here. And one thing that I've noticed too is I might have to start unmodding people, not because I want to, but because, let's be honest, there's not anybody in my chat anymore. Not like there once was. I have the original mod that I'll probably keep, but everybody else, I mean, why should everybody have a wrench that comes into your life? But I'll discuss that at a later time. Until then, we'll just continue on doing what we do. But let's listen to what David's story is about.
You died, and I didn't even cry, not a single tear. In the back of my mind, I killed you, and I didn't even regret it. I can't believe I said it, but it's true. I hate you. These are the lyrics from one of the biggest songs in 2022, Romantic Homicide. Sitting at almost 1.7 billion streams on Spotify, that's a milestone that very few artists have ever achieved, let alone an artist who was 18 at the time of this song's release, let alone an artist who has not one, but two songs with over 1 billion streams on Spotify.
2 songs, over 1 billion streams. That's really impressive. But that Romantic Homicide, you're going to see, plays quite a big role into exactly what's going on at this point in his life.
Before he's even of legal drinking age within the US. Imagine having 33 million monthly listeners on Spotify before having your first legal beer. That was the case for David. And before this horrifying story broke out, possibly the most horrifying story I have ever read related to a musician, I didn't even know that David was a musician. I thought he was a streamer. I'm sure some of you guys are in the same boat as me and don't really understand what's going on. So as we break down this absolutely tragic situation, we'll try to put as many pieces to the puzzle together as possible.
And see, that's what I like to do. I like to go down and know the players that are involved in the criminal act or the victims, because it helps give you some kind of insight on who these people are. Instead of picking sides and trying to pick apart something and blame somebody for the atrocity that happened, I want people to know who these people are so they can make up their own mind. You know what I mean? I've never heard of him either, but now I'm sure he is. He is blown up.
September 7th, 2022. A date that changed the life of a then 18-year-old singer by the name of David. This is the date that David released the music video for his song Romantic Homicide, which would go on to become his breakout single. September 7th, 2022 would also be a significant date for Celeste Hernandez, a child who was allegedly turning 12 on that date. Fast forward about a year and a half, April 5th.
So in 2022, she was turning 12 years old. Hold on to that little bit of information as we speed and fast forward.
2024, Celeste Hernandez is officially reported missing in Riverside County. And September 8th, 2025 would be one day after Celeste's 15th birthday. Her remains were allegedly discovered in Los Angeles inside of an impounded Tesla car, decomposed, dismembered into several pieces, and wrapped inside a plastic bag in the car's front trunk. Allegedly, the car in question had been towed to the impound lot after being abandoned in the Hollywood Hills. The car had been parked in the Hollywood Hills for at least a month. The body inside the vehicle.
And you know, people were saying earlier, how can you not understand that your car had been missing for a month? How would you know that somebody's dead body was in your car for a month? Well, use your common sense. Chances are that body was not in there for a month. If I recall correctly, the other night when I was listening to this case, they had said that probably within 3 or 4 days, they had not seen that girl. So it was 3 or 4 days in the sweltering heat in California. It was not for a month. She was not in there for a month that I remember. I could be wrong, but if I am, I stand to be corrected.
Had allegedly been there for an extended period of time. On September 16th, 2025, the local medical examiner publicly identified the body as Celeste Hernandez. The car in question was registered to David. David was out on tour when the car was towed. He hadn't been in Los Angeles. Did he even know who this woman was? The car might have been registered to him, but was it him or his team actively using it? In order to try to get an answer to these questions and a lot more, we got to take it all the way back. David was born in Queens, New York in 2005. His family eventually moved out to Houston, Texas, where he grew up in a deeply Christian household. His childhood was shaped by gospel music and church choir. He learned piano and lived in a space where secular music was largely absent.
And you know, a lot of these artists, that's how they grow up. They grow up in the church. They grow up playing piano. They grow up singing in the choir. And that's where they get their musical talent from. It's not the direction that a lot of them take, but a lot of them get their training, so to speak, early on in the church.
It said in an interview, "I grew to like being alone and finding creativity in isolation," a theme that would echo throughout his art. But his shelter from secular music had changed at around the age of 13. On his school laptop, he first heard the song Gucci Gang by Lil Pump, his first taste of mainstream rap. That moment cracked open a new world. He began discovering XXXTentacion, the members-only collective, and indie artists that he stumbled upon in unexpected ways. One of those ways was through the video game Fortnite. By middle school, David was homeschooled, which left him with a lot of time and a growing sense of isolation. Friends drifted away. Online, though, he found an outlet in Fortnite montages, editing games.
So let me ask you guys in the chat, is anybody familiar with Fortnite in the chat? Y'all know what Fortnite is? If you don't know, I'm going to take a stab at it because I don't really have a clue either. Fortnite is a role-playing game as far as I know. Aquarius, can you kind of type what that is in the chat? Because I don't want to butcher it. I don't want to butcher it that bad. Eileen, you know what it is? If y'all could just kind of describe it in the chat, that would be awesome. because I don't want to butcher a game that I really have never played, but I've heard countless people play it. Here we go.
Gameplay clips, overlaying them with music, but there was a catch: copyright claims. The tracks he used in his videos would often lead to a copyright strike, which would force him to take them down. That's when his mother asked him a question that would change David's life forever. Why don't you just make your own music instead? And David's been blunt about it in the past, emphasizing that Fortnite is what led him to make music in the first place. One night, frustrated with copyright strikes, he simply searched how to make music on an iPhone. He recalled the moment saying, "This app called BandLab popped up. I downloaded it, and the next day, he began recording." His setup was bare bones, just an iPhone, a pair of wired Apple earbuds, and his sister's closet as a booth. But it was enough. From the
I can relate to the copyright strikes.
start, David approached music like a gamer and a visual artist. He emphasized, "In the early days of creating music, my main inspiration was literally just Fortnite and video games." The cinematic quality of montages made David want to make his songs feel like mini movies. "I try to make music as visual as possible. When you hear it, you kind of craft the music video yourself," David had said. At the time, he was a professional Fortnite player. His music, on the other hand, it was intuitive, not necessarily calculated. He had said, 80% of the time, I'm in my sister's closet listening through my instrumental library without much writing beforehand. I'm a strong believer in the way sounds speak to me, as if an instrumental will sometimes literally tell me what needs to be said on it." David's catalog consisted of a lot of music dealing in heartbreak, loneliness, longing, but he had admitted that in his early days of creating music, a lot of these experiences were imagined emotions or living vicariously through others.
I would sit down and try to find things for inspiration because I was just writing these beautiful, beautiful songs. My mother was like, where is these lyrics coming from? You're homeschooled. What do you know about love? What do you know about heartbreak? I would go on Discord and I would go on Fortnite and I would not just let people talk to me and just tell me about their lives. And I would basically just take their lives and write songs about them.
It's a strange claim to make considering how vivid and dark and emotionally charged a lot of these lyrics are within his music. He started dropping songs on SoundCloud, and in July of 2022 is when he released the breakout single Romantic Homicide. He recorded that song in his sister's closet with the same old earbuds, but eventually the song blew up on TikTok. Suddenly, this teenager, who had been an anonymous gamer, was now climbing the charts. The track hit number 3 on Billboard's Hot Alternative Songs, and by September 2022, he had signed with the label Darkroom/Interscope. And soon after, he would score his second hit, Here With Me. By 2023, David's success would only get bigger. Keep in mind, he's only around 18 years old at the time, but he releases his debut EP, Petals to Thorns, a second EP later that year, The Lost Petals. He started performing around the world.
So he started blowing up with his music that he was creating in his sister's closet. I mean, that's ambition. And I want you to think a minute without jumping to conclusion that this person is a murderer. I want you to stay open-minded, because if we find out later that he is, at that point, then we kind of go that direction. At this point, I think the latest that I saw, well, let me just show you here in a little while. I want to break the awesome news for you, but this is just giving you some background on the individual, because a lot of people have failed to give anybody any kind of background about this individual. Me personally, I want to know who it is we're talking about, what they're about, what their music is, things like that. I don't want to just know one side for you to tell me that he's a suspected murderer. Okay? I don't think that's fair to the man.
Even opening up for SZA's SOS tour. By the beginning of 2025, he dropped his debut album, Withered. Fortnite remained woven into his identity as he was tasked to write the official Fortnite anthem, Locked and Loaded. And by the middle of 2025, David embarked on his own solo tour. But fans noticed something strange about the tour from the jump. Every city he'd go to, every venue he'd play at, there would be a massive silver casket that would be carried into the event hall, placed right outside of the room David would perform in, and there'd be baskets of stickers and other little items related to his brand that fans would be able to pick up right next to the casket. almost like a memorial service. Like we mentioned before, David's music, his brand aesthetic was about heartbreak, loss, tragedy, and he said a lot of these scenarios were imagined. He was living vicariously through others. Maybe this was all just part of the larger aesthetic. But even without knowing what we know today, it's still a very strange way to kick off every single one of your shows.
I would say.
Now, why does the artist do that?
This was a world tour that began on August 5th, 2025. David.
Okay, keep that date in mind. August 25th, 2025. Remember that date, because that's going to be the date that his tour kicked off. And now we're going to go forward to when they found the young lady in this Tesla.
Was supposed to be making a stop on the tour in LA on September 20th, 2025. Keep in mind, the tour kicked off on August 5th in Del Mar, California, meaning even though David was traveling across North America on this tour throughout the remainder of August, he kicked it off in California. Why this is significant is because, like I mentioned before, a Tesla that was registered under David's name had been parked on a street in Los Angeles for a large number of days. It had been towed on September 6th. 2 days later, due to the disgusting smell coming from the car, authorities opened it and located a body decomposing.
September 6th, okay? So what did I say? August 25th to September 6th. So you figure from August 25th to September 6th, where was this young lady? Was she still alive? Has there been pictures of her? Has there been any kind of technological footprints, any kind of cellular footprints, anything whatsoever to show that this woman was still alive? Well, she was a young lady because she was only 14 years old at this point.
About a week later, the body was identified as Celeste Hernandez. And according to people following the discovery, she appeared to be unalive for some time. Now, according to sources, although this vehicle is registered under David's name, it's one of several vehicles that he owns, and many different people use these vehicles at any given time. Because of this, and because of David's overall very nice public personality, although his lyrics are dark, his persona seemed very kind-hearted. And this led people to believe that there is no way he could have been responsible or even associated with anything going on with this situation. And of course, you're innocent until proven guilty, but new details continue to emerge within this story. So I'm going to emphasize to you guys what is confirmed as facts and what is speculation. But we are going to peel the curtain back on everything we know.
And that is true. You are presumed innocent until you go into the court of law. So think about those dates, because I'm pretty sure those dates are going to be important later on. So what did I say the first date was? Type it in the chat if you remember. And what was the second date that I mentioned? Type it in the chat. Let's see if you're paying attention.
So like I mentioned before, this Tesla had been abandoned in the Hollywood Hills for days. Then it was towed. It wasn't reported as stolen. And even with all the cameras surrounding a Tesla vehicle, for some reason, there's no footage that has leaked online of the last person to use this vehicle. Neighbors in the area that the car was abandoned in, however, had told the media that the car had been parked there for weeks. When the body was first found, David was still on tour. And according to NBC, a spokesperson for him had said he'd been informed about what happened, and even though he's still on tour, he's fully cooperating with authorities. After the official news was announced on September 8th that there was a body in the trunk of the Tesla, David continued doing shows, even handing out Labubus to the crowd at one of his performances. But immediately, big brands that were already working with him, like Epic Games, which owns Fortnite, Crocs, even Hollister, they all dropped their ad campaigns with him. Keep in mind, this is September.
So this is when people This is when people start to get on their high horse, so to speak. This is the type of stuff when people start to say, no, wait a minute, wait a minute. You're telling me that this vehicle was registered to him. They found a body in the trunk and he kept on touring. Let me ask you a question, okay? What's he supposed to do? What's he supposed to do, honestly? I'm not defending, I'm not convicting, but what is this man supposed to do? His livelihood is making music. He's bound by this tour because you know as well as I do, if you don't tour, you don't get paid. You owe people a lot of money. So was he just supposed to cancel his tour because they found a dead body in his car? I'm sure he was investigated. I'm sure he was taken in for an interview and probably let go, but was still being surveyed. So instantly people find guilt in not what you don't do, it's what you continue to do after the fact. So this man was living his life. He was doing what he does for entertainment, for his business. You tell me, was he supposed to stop because they found that dead body? He's not a suspect at this point. So why would you stop doing what you do for a living if you haven't been arrested or even be put as a suspect at this point? Tell me what y'all think about that, chat. You can disagree. It's fine, but I want to know your thoughts and feelings on what I just said.
8th, before they've identified the body. Once they did, things really made a much darker turn. Like I mentioned earlier, investigators had said that Celeste had been reported as a runaway since April of 2024. By then, she would have just been 13. By the time they found her in the Tesla, she had just turned 15. As of the time that I'm recording this video, authorities have not named David as a suspect. However, according to TMZ, cops were looking into the possibility that Celeste was unalived inside the LA home where David was living. TMZ reports that investigators...
Okay, now that brings up something totally different in itself. If she was killed in that home, then we have a problem. Then we have a problem. But we still have circumstantial evidence. If you can't prove that this man was around her when she was murdered,
who searched the home were looking for blood. Law enforcement sources told TMZ that LAPD's Scientific Investigation Division took part in a 12-hour search of the home. As far as whether or not this is confirmed to be David's house, TMZ confirms that the house is being rented by Josh Marshall, which is David's manager. And in order to try and get as much proof that the home that was being investigated in LA connected to this crime was actually being lived in by David, TMZ went ahead and compared photos that David took inside his home to pictures on a real estate website of the home that's being investigated. What they found is the photos of the home being investigated are very similar to pictures and videos that David himself posted within his own home. Here he's seen dancing in the home. He's also seen singing in the kitchen with Benny Blanco. And there's a photo of him slouched over on a piano, which looks like the exact same piano in the picture from the real estate website. So we know that this home that police were investigating was very close to where the Tesla had been parked and abandoned.
and I saw earlier on a video that I was doing or listening to on a live, that Tesla was found a minute from his home. A minute. It wasn't far away at all. Like people assumed that this Tesla was found miles and miles and miles away. It was a minute away from his home. So was that car really missing? Or whoever borrowed it didn't live that far from this individual's house. You know, the YouTube community, as good as it is sometimes, it's really ugly some other times. Because as quick as they want to vindicate somebody, whether they believe it or not, they're quick to convict certain people and let other people make it. Like, the internet is ready to hang this guy, no pun intended, but they're ready to convict him, try him, and sentence him without any substantiated evidence. I haven't heard of anything really that has placed him as a suspect. And if he did know this girl, do you have proof? We're going to watch another video that's going to break it down a little more. And I might have to eat my words here in a minute. But according to this point, I haven't seen anything that really shows his possibility of even being involved in something like this.
Before it was brought to the impound lot. The house was being rented by David's manager, and judging by what I just showed you guys, it looks like he had at least been inside this house and possibly living in it for a certain amount of time within the last 6 months. That's what we know as fact. But there's a lot of people coming forward with much more disturbing allegations that pretty much confirm to us that at the very least, David most definitely, again, at the very least, knew Celeste. And this is where things take a much darker turn.
There we go. I got to eat my words. Not above
Like I
that.
mentioned before, Celeste had been a runaway since April of 2024. Her mother had gotten closure in one of the most tragic ways possible, as the body in the Tesla was confirmed to be hers. After the confirmation, TMZ had spoken to Celeste's mother, who had said that she had a boyfriend named David. She also told TMZ that the police description of the body in the Tesla matched the way her daughter looks, as they found a tattoo on her finger that says shh, the letters SH. Now, there's several celebrities who have this tattoo, right? Rihanna, Lily Allen, Lindsay Lohan. This is a pretty popular design within pop culture. But what's disturbing is that David has the exact same tattoo. Right after this news came out, David immediately canceled his upcoming tour dates. It's also important to note, I'm not sure if I mentioned it earlier in this video, but when investigators did that 12-hour search of this home that his manager is allegedly renting, that David had allegedly maybe been living in, they allegedly walked out with a computer and several evidence bags. So it's very likely that we're going to get tons of updates on this case within the next few days. But there's a lot more we have to touch on here, starting with this photo of David.
This is a photo. It says a surface photo shows David in Lake Elsinore, California, just 0.3 miles from the home where Celeste R. lived with her family before she disappeared in April 2024, according to TMZ. The spot where David was photographed is only a 6-minute walk from her family's residence. So tell me what you think about that. Is that coincidental? Could he have been over there visiting her? Tell me what you think. I know there's a lot to digest, and I know that this isn't the exciting part, but you know what? You have to know the beginning to understand the middle and eventually the end of the whole process. If you don't get the beginning, which a lot of cases, people don't want the beginning, they want the middle, the juiciness, and they want the end. That way they can say, well, it wasn't done right. The police messed it up. This was framed. This was this. This was that. Come on. That's why a lot of people never really get to an end of a case, because they never start giving their audience, the players involved in the case, and an understanding of who we're talking about. Especially this guy. I don't know him. Most of my chat doesn't know him. So, here he is, about 6 minutes from the girl that went missing, who was later found in his Tesla truck.
This was taken in Lake Elsinore, California. Sorry for mispronouncing that name, which is in Riverside County. 70 miles away from downtown Los Angeles, where the house was located that David's manager was renting. This is, however, the immediate area where Celeste had been living before she went missing. After TMZ analyzed Google Maps, they determined that David was standing 0.3 miles from the home where Celeste was living with her family before she disappeared back in April of 2024. The place David was standing is a 6-minute walk to Celeste's family home. We're just trying to figure out if he actually even knew her, right? And like I said earlier, there is a damning amount of evidence that shows that at the very least, he very much did, starting with this picture of David and another woman. This resembles exactly what Celeste looks like. On top of the fact that she was found unalived in a vehicle that was registered.
Celeste and David, don't let me sleep. I'm going to let your own eyes make your own, what you call it, assumption. You've seen her picture. That this female right here on the left-hand side, right here, could this resemble a 14-year-old girl? Does she have the features of a 14-year-old? This is obviously David. Could this be a 14-year-old female? You let me know, yes or no.
To David, the added layer of this story that makes it even more disturbing is the fact that at the time that Celeste was found in the Tesla, she was 15 years old. David was 20. She went missing at 13. David had just turned 19. Now, as far as David's actual connection with Celeste, aside from her mother telling TMZ that she had a boyfriend named David, TMZ had also found a video from January 2024, 2 months before Celeste was reported missing, where she's allegedly on live stream with David.
Mitochondria?
I gotta sign with him if you even. We need to delete this.
Maz, can we delete all VODs? And then as soon as the stream ends, delete the stream too?
So it's pretty clear from this video alone, unless David knew another person who looked exactly like Celeste, it's obvious.
To me, that looked like it could have been the same person because the big-ass glasses, she's wearing a hoodie to hide herself. Obviously, she's missing. She ran away from home. But let me tell you something right here. This is my own opinion. You might not like it. You might agree with it. Whatever. All 5 of you. Whatever. The mother reported her missing. It wasn't like she didn't do her due diligence to report her daughter missing. What was she supposed to do after the fact? She reported it to police and let them do their job, right? Possibly this mother didn't have the resources or the ability to go out and about and look for her daughter like a lot of other people do. Just because some people have the ability to look for their daughters or sons once they go missing, possibly this lady did not. So lighten up on the mom. Before everybody takes side and starts blaming the mom for all this and all this stuff, you know what? Lighten up on the mom. She did her job. She reported her missing. What was she supposed to do after the fact? Because a lot of times the parents are playing detective, the online community treats them like crap because who are they and blah, blah, blah and all this. But if they don't do nothing, then all of a sudden they're cold, they don't care, they're involved. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So lighten up on this mom. I hate that more than anything, that whenever somebody wants their audience to pick a side, they instantly pick the mom or the dad. And they start saying, well, this person didn't do this or this person didn't do that. Okay, well, do you know these people that you're talking about? Do you know the full story, or are you just going like everybody else right now, listening to a video and getting the meat and potatoes of it like this?
She was a person he knew. And here's where we get down a rabbit hole where, again, everything is alleged. But we have a Twitter thread from the account ProdCureMe that reads, all proof that David did it. And the first thing they mention off the rip, aside from that video that TMZ reported of David with Celeste, there's more photo evidence that he was affiliated with someone named Celeste. And you can see they post two pictures, one where David and Celeste are allegedly together on FaceTime with someone else, and another where David is FaceTiming someone named Celeste. He also had a Discord community where we'll look at some alleged messages from within it that reveal some pretty disturbing things. Number one is that at one point you could see people within his Discord talking about how in early 2024 he was dating someone by the name of Celeste. The song that they're discussing in his Discord community that they say they believe is written about Celeste has a chorus where he says, "But you never really cared about the way that everything turned out. You didn't want to fall in love. You're looking out for yourself now. It's starting to piss me off. I thought I had you figured out. Never thought that you would call my bluff. Guess who belongs to someone else now?" This song came out in March of 2024, about 2 months after David was allegedly on live stream with Celeste in the video that we looked at before. And based off conversations in his Discord community, they conclude that David would have been with Celeste beginning in 2022, and their relationship would have ended at some point in 2024. Remember, again, in 2022, Celeste was 12 to 13 years old, and by 2024, in April, she went missing. You can see from screenshots in 2022, they were talking about a person by the name of Celeste being in the Discord. But by 2024, another user by the name of Kate became a moderator within the Discord, and other users were assuming it was because she was now dating David. When the news broke out, there was also a very disturbing post made on Reddit saying, "This guy is a weirdo. A close friend's little sister from the IE ran away last year, and this is who she was with. We think her sister was PIMP-ing her out. She was in the 7th grade at the time. LAPD sweeped his place in the hills. I'm terrified that's who's in the car. Nobody has heard from her in months. I won't release names as she's still a minor, but she was from Lake Elsinore."
And I put that on my live earlier. You know, like I said, usually whenever somebody goes missing or when somebody has a situation where something happens, just like in other cases, we hear about these certain things happening very quickly, early on in the cases. But people discount it as if it's not real, it's not legitimate, whatever they might feel. But that sounded like something that could have been pretty legit, if you ask me. Could she have been pimped out by her sister? We don't know. We don't know. Let's continue on with the video.
And of course, that's the same area that TMZ had reported David was in 2024 at a location just a couple minutes away from the home that Celeste grew up in. They also pointed out this very strange tweet from David way back in 2022, where he said, "When I was writing this, I got a notification from you. You were talking about wanting to be with your mom and sister again. Take me where I belong. But our circumstances won't allow us to be in our ideal situations. We gotta push through it, bro." Another user in David's Discord group had responded to him when he said, "I'm in a song crisis right now." They said, "Drop the one with the missing girl, Celeste Hernandez." This is a song that David allegedly recorded a year prior, which had lyrics that allegedly said, "Be my Valentine, I want to make you feel SUIS idol. These are the kind of thoughts that cross my mind just because. Oh, Celeste, the girl with my name tattooed on her chest. Smell her on my clothes like cigarettes. I hear her voice each time I take a breath. I'm obsessed." The song is online, but again, I want to emphasize everything here is alleged, right? The song could be AI. The person in the Discord group had wrote that message asking David to drop the Celeste song about a girl who went missing by the name of Celeste. They posted that in August of 2024, about 4 months after she had went missing. But again, everything is alleged. Maybe this Discord user just knew that a person by the name of Celeste Hernandez had went missing. Maybe this is a different person. There was another picture of David with someone who seems to have the same hair as Celeste did in December of 2023. And if you look at the description of her missing person report, you can see it says she was last seen wearing gray pants, a black sweater, a hat, and Hello Kitty sandals. There was then a picture of David with a girl wearing Hello Kitty sandals. Digging further, they also may have found a secret Instagram account that was being used by Celeste, possibly.
So, coincidence after coincidence after coincidence. There's only so many coincidences before you start asking those hard questions. You know, we have looked into other cases where coincidence after coincidence after coincidence that people didn't want to believe. They want to tell you, there's no way that could have happened. There's no way this was that. There was no way that. Okay. The bottom line is this girl was 14 years old. This man was a full grown man. If he did have her in his presence and she ended up dead, it would have been his responsibility if they can figure out that indeed is her in that picture and him as well. It's not looking good. Not looking good at all. And before you start believing other people, they've already started with the whole psyop shit. And, you know, they had an older woman dressed as Celeste. That way he could be with Celeste without being found out and all this other stuff. Come on, man. I really wish true crime would really boot these people out of the true crime community, because all they do is fantasize their reality. It's almost like they can't handle the reality of what we're given, so they have to paint their own BS to make it more romanticized. Because you can't handle that a 14-year-old was murdered in a Tesla and possibly her body parts were so torn to pieces by the heat and everything, the decomposition, it appeared she had been decapitated. You can't handle that, then maybe you don't need a place in true crime. If you need to romanticize every freaking crime and say, well, that just don't make sense to me. That is odd. There's no way that happened. When these people are telling you, this is what we found. This is what we see. There's no gag order in this one. So for you to run off and say, well, this could have happened or that could have happened, why don't you wait like the rest of us to get the information and then discuss it, rather than fill in the blanks with your idiocracy?
Even two Instagram accounts. In the first one, we get alleged DMs, again, could completely be fake, but it's with an account that goes by Wellness2. And they asked this account, are you still going to talk to David or go back with him? Because I don't want you to get into any more trouble with him. And they replied saying, I'm safe. No, I'm not. Someone on Reddit had searched up that Wellness account and they said, I searched up this Wellness account and found out that that account followed an account by the name of Matthew. That Matthew account was followed by David, and an account named Dolce, who looks to be Celeste's friend maybe. Dolce follows a lot of people from California, which is where Celeste was from. And these are the two Instagram accounts they're talking about. You can see the Matthew one, which was followed by the Wellness account that had that conversation about David, is followed by David. And the other one, which is titled Dolce or Help 12.01, which could match up with the date December 1st, was also followed by that Wellness account. Now, why is this significant? Well, here's where it gets kind of strange. Back in September of 2023, a Twitter account by the same name of Dolce had tweeted out to David, to which David replied. As far as who owns this Dolce account, many people believe it was either Celeste or her sister. And now this is where the rabbit hole gets very disturbing and a bit confusing, so stick with me. People went digging and found Celeste's missing person report posted by her family members on Facebook. After stumbling on Celeste's mother's Facebook, they found that her mother followed Celeste on Facebook. Meanwhile, Celeste on Facebook followed an account by the name of Esmeralda, and for privacy's sake, I'm going to leave her last name out of this. But that same Esmeralda account, same last name, same profile picture, was also followed by the Dolce account on Instagram. This gets deeper, but let me just catch you guys up to speed again. There's a screenshot of a conversation with an Instagram account that is named Wowness. In that conversation, someone's asking Wowness not to go back to David because they fear for the safety of whoever is behind that Wowness account.
And you know what's terrible in the age of media, social media, is you can be anybody behind the screen. And I believe that a lot of a lot of people in this realm, this community here, probably knew each other for a very long time. Because you got to remember, David wasn't always famous. He didn't start blowing up till what, 2022? So he had a regular life. He had regular friends. He played Fortnite. He was, he knew a lot of people. So they have a group of followers who are just quote unquote friends. So it's almost like this. It's like you got somebody that can't be with you. Well, they're going to be starting crap about you to people that are interested in you because that's the high school game. And these young individuals, that's what they were all about. So let's say that David was interested in Celeste. He was 19. She was, what, 12? So she died at 14. He was 20. So 6 years apart. He was 19. She was 13. So 13 years old, he was interested in Celeste. But let's say somebody else was interested in David and knew that he was interested in Celeste, and they started all this drama online. That's what happens. That's what happens.
That Wowness account follows two separate accounts, one by the name of Matthew, which is followed by David, and one by the name of Dolce, or the handle help 12.01. The Dolce account follows a person by the name of Esmeralda, who is also followed by Celeste on Facebook. That Dolce account also follows what's believed to be Celeste's aunt. They believe it's Celeste's aunt because not only does the Dolce account follow this person, not only is Celeste friends with this person on Facebook, but this person had posted about Celeste missing way back in February of 2024.
Okay.
Translated, this post says, "We still don't know anything about my niece, and I won't get tired of begging God for her to appear safe and sound. I love you. You know it. May God's mercy accompany you wherever you are. I have faith that you will return to our arms." That's Celeste in the photo, and her mother made these same posts in February of 2024 as well on Facebook. And that's how...
I mean, that's what is interesting to me. I hope people do not do this. I hope they do not side up and go against the mom. Because honestly, what can the mom do? And I'm going to say this. Like I did a while ago. The mom, the family, maybe they don't have the resources that some other family do when their loved one goes missing, and they find all these people interested in going and looking for their loved one. Maybe they didn't have that kind of resource. So the fact that she reported her daughter missing as a runaway in 2024 and still kept looking online for little tidbits, and then her daughter dead in 2025. Don't make the mom out to be the enemy here, because you don't know whether this Celeste individual was easily manipulated by other people, Maybe she felt a part of this community that this David belonged to. Maybe she was a groupie, or maybe she was dating David. We don't really know. I'm sure we're going to find out.
People ended up finding Celeste's Facebook. So remember, this all links back to a conversation with an Instagram account that went by Wowness. Wowness followed the Dolce account, which followed several of Celeste's relatives and people that she was friends with on Facebook. And the Wowness account also followed an account that went by Matthew, which David followed. Now I'm going to show you guys alleged, very alleged conversations in the DMs that allegedly took place with that same Matthew account that David followed. This Matthew account claims to be Celeste's brother. He claims that David found the account. He claims he went to the police about David's relationship with Celeste, but there was a lack of evidence at the time. He claims that Celeste would tell him her and David were going to get married when she was 18. I can't emphasize enough, this is all alleged. But if it is real, this is the very same account that was followed by David.
You know what I think is cool? Is we have these text messages way before we have to worry about a stupid gag order and not reading the text messages between the players involved. That is what that is what is so cool, I think. You know, these other cases where you gotta wait through gag orders and all this bullshit. Right here, we got text messages from the players involved. You know what I mean? So I think that's interesting. It just said dead for 2 weeks. I didn't know. My sister wouldn't say anything ever. Dude, there's so much shit in that Discord. What the fuck? And then it's going too fast. I'll have to go back and reread this. I don't even have Discord. I mean, everything's screenshotted. There's pictures of him and supposedly her. Are those photos of her? And that song was unreleased. Wow, look at all this stuff.
Aside from this, other strange social media activity that we have is a repost from David's own TikTok, which was a very dark meme that said,
"Don't you dare, Nina. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. They are not all fake. Those are real texts." I know what you're getting at, though. I know what you're getting at. But they're not fake. There's no way David could have done it. It was, who could we blame? His brother.
"Me, after hearing about her past with other boys, I'm jealous and utterly disgusted by her actions." In 2024, David also posted a photo of himself holding a Hello Kitty coffee mug on TikTok, and someone commented, "Please adopt me, I need it." As you can see, David responded, tagging an account by the name of 0907, saying, "Should we?" If you guys remember, 0907, September 7th, is the date of Celeste's birthday. The Dolce account had the handle "Help Me 12.01, December 1st, possibly Celeste's sister, with both of them using the same form of their birthday numbers as their account names. Again, everything is alleged. And in my opinion, one of the most disturbing.
So remember that day, 0907. That supposedly is Celeste's Instagram name?
Pieces of evidence that we've gotten in this entire story comes from a former collaborator of David who goes by the name Anglisi. Anglisi had shared that David had posted Celeste on his Instagram close friend story. And again, this artist by the name of Anglisi, who had collaborated with David, has been trying to expose David for PDF activity since 2023. over 2 years ago at this point. At the time, Inglesi got a lot of hate for this and was even shut down by David's legal team. That's why he kept promoting the song that he had with David. But now that this stuff is coming to light, Inglesi is speaking up again, emphasizing that it wasn't just Celeste that David was involved with who wasn't of age. Hello Yassine did a good job at breaking this down, so I'll play you a clip from his video, and it also touches on what David's former collaborator and the guy who called him out years ago for this has to say now that everything has unfolded.
What's popping on? It looks like David's friends are coming out and some people were silenced. One guy was trying to expose him years ago and it just came up short. And I think he's getting a little bit too much hate on social media for how things panned out because everybody's got hindsight is 2020. But this person I'm talking about the handle is Inglesi, and he also makes music. And he would tweet out, David, WTF, man, on September 17th. And then he would follow it up with, been trying to expose David since 2023. And he shows a Discord chat with this other guy who's playing Roblox. And he says, he only adds under girls. He says, I know, right? He says, I'm not joking either. And then he says, David only talks to women from the server. Oh, bro is simp. Haha, Inglesi is the guy that's talking. He says, yes, for real, wow. He says, they're also usually 15, 16 too. He says, what the F?
Wow. Wow. That, wow. Well, we know another creator that only supposedly likes young girls. I won't name him on here, but I'm sure other people have figured that out by this point. There's a lot of creators on YouTube that are on the pedo gang, and they need to be exposed for reals. But this guy was trying to expose David for being a pedo, which tip my hat to you, bro. A lot of pedos need to be investigated and put away. They really do. There's a lot of them on these YouTube streets. And if you don't know, you don't know. You should know.
David is a PDF. Keep in mind, this is 2023, so I think David, I don't know if he was 18 yet. Regardless, the girl that passed away, or the girl that he allegedly killed, it didn't even matter what age he was, frankly. It didn't matter if he was 17. So then he also says, I screenshotted this story David posted in 2020. I found it ironic as hell. Of course they have to have kids, David. You like that, don't you? He says, now that I'm 18, I'm gonna need all the single mothers to hit my DMA set. You have to have 3 kids. It's David with the in 20, by the way. And David 13. And it needs to be brought to light. And then he started to get a lot from people that were mad about the situation. It was identified that girl was and he deleted the tweet where he said, as you guys know, I used to be friends with David. We did songs together. We're often associated with each other. I just want to on, I will no longer associate myself with him, and had no idea of the disgusting things he was doing. This guy did have a song with him, and he said, deleted this tweet to not confuse people. Yes, 2023. However, most of it was himself reached out and post to TikTok. He would post a TikTok video. He explains his story of everything. So I'm going to play that for you guys. We're going to break it down. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard about the David situation, and a lot of you guys may know that I used to be friends with. And a lot of you guys have seen the stuff I put on Twitter and Instagram trying to expose him, because there was some stuff that I knew since 2023 that I make public. It's been shut by legal team, people, friends, close friends, David. It's been shut down. They, I tried to post it on Twitter. They removed it. As you can see here, I've attached some photos. Stuff that's happened more, and I do hope that hopefully it comes to light. I'm working with some people right now to hopefully, get him exposed once and for all. Obviously as well, my prayers are going to the family of the victims, and it's a disgusting thing that happened, and I just want to say that I feel guilty for, knowing. I swear to God, I've been trying since 2023. Y'all can see the proof. I've put the proof on Twitter, Instagram, y'all saw it. I tried my best. I've been trying, and it just didn't work. And I'm so glad, because everything happens for a reason. The truth will come to light. Everything happens for a reason. This dude David had ignored me multiple times. He would only get answer the messages from his underage fans. So it all comes back to him. So I'm so glad that obviously this is being exposed. And yeah, that's it really. And we just gotta hope for the best of this time. And then he would go on to continue tweeting. He said, David seen with Celeste in a picture from 2023. Of course, he continues getting messages of people like, why didn't you say something earlier? Why didn't you say something earlier? And he posts a tweet about the reaction that David had to another guy, the one that said, yo, how old is the chick? And David says, wallahi, he's finished. I know what he leaked already. And he says, what you mean? We're literally preparing to sue him, LMAO. Lamp is about to owe $30,000. Legal team going bonkers right now. Lamp is the guy that asked the question. Lamp is the guy that said, hey, who's the girl? The infamous photo where he's with Celeste on what looks like a stream. And then Inglesi says, more screenshots I found from 2023 where it was mentioned David was speaking to other people under the proper age. He said they're all kids too. David, he talks to blank all the time, and she's 15. And then one of the close friend stories. And then in 2023, this guy tried to bring it up. David would distance himself from him. He would block him. And you'd say, bro is the most out of touch human being on the planet. And then someone asked, yo, why'd you block Inglesi? That dude's just a troll. And he says, I assume it's about Unreleased. Now, Unreleased is a song that Inglesi had with David. They had a song together. And then he says, I love trolls. That kid is unhinged. And then, yeah, so he says, another message from David in 2023 when he blocked me after apparently my claims of him speaking to Under was false. And so, of course, this guy's getting a lot more hate. And he says, releasing a video in few hours regarding the whole David situation. Just so y'all know, when I tried to leak the David information in 2023, the label said they don't want me getting hate for it. So they said I, quote, leaked music, which is why I lost ties with David. I've been silenced for too long, and I'm so sorry for not speaking sooner. And he makes it clear, just so you know, the first time I tried to make the David information public, I was 16. And I'm going to play you guys the clip where he addresses everything. So obviously y'all have seen the current David situation. In this video, I just want to address some stuff. Now, a lot of people on Twitter are mad at me because in 2023, I tried to expose David for what he...
So this guy was a whistleblower and nobody took him serious. That's exactly what they're saying right here. And that's tragic in so many regards. I mean, it's tragic.
Was doing at the time. And I just want to clear up that the stuff from 2023 was not about the Celeste girl that was obviously recently in the news. It's nothing to do with her. I didn't know about her. I didn't know she was 13. I maybe heard her name once or twice. I had nothing to do with her. The stuff I have from 2023 was nothing to do with Celeste. These were other girls, underage girls, that had claimed David had messaged them or had, relationships with them or, doing inappropriate things with them. And I want people to know that in 2023, I did try and bring the situation to light. And a lot of people remember, I was having a lot of shit for it. It got so bad that David's legal team had got in contact with me to remove everything. I've attached an email here that I received from his team in 2023. And basically, they removed my song with David from, streaming services because apparently I was spreading misinformation. The thing is, after that, I got in touch with David and I was like, yo, are the claims true and all of this? And he was like, he literally said, I've got it here. He said, no, it's just some people trying to get clout. There's no evidence and stuff. After that, everything was shut down. Everything, no one else came out after that. So from my point of view, you guys need to understand that it did look like they were just claims. So a lot of people are asking me, why was I promoting a song in 2024 and 2025 that I had with David? It's because the claims that I had in 2023 were, put on hold. It's as if they didn't exist. I had no idea. I was told that they were false by David and his legal team. So after the whole situation happened, I actually felt bad.
So were those photos of this case or photos of that other case, Tina? I was confused. I don't know. He was in here for a little while. Then he left.
For, spreading misinformation. I thought it was all fake. Obviously, with the stuff that's happened in the past 24 hours, I realized that, they're now real. And some people have come out to me and told me that, it was true. Not just that, but in 2023, when I made the claims, David's legal team did not want anyone to know that David was doing this type of stuff. So basically, they blamed me and said that I was leaking music. But I wasn't leaking any music. They blamed me for leaking music. I was leaking the facts. So they just said that they're going to blame me for leaking music. That's my punishment. My song is off. That's it. And you guys need to understand that I felt terrible. I felt like I was going to ruin his career out. I felt like I was spreading misinformation for him. I felt disgusting, bro. I was like, I gave him claims that weren't true because from what it looked like to me, they weren't true. They were cleared and everything. No one else came out after that. But then obviously now it's a different story. That's why I was promoting the songs in 2024, 2025. I was cool with him. I wasn't like, friends with him and stuff, but I didn't have a problem with him. Little do I know that he hated me. He has me blocked.
That's kind of annoying to listen to. But that guy was a whistleblower and he was trying to get David exposed. And obviously, he tried. I don't know what y'all think about this case. I don't know if you think that there's too much circumstantial evidence about this individual potentially being guilty. At this point, we really don't know. We really don't know. I mean, things are going to start flowing, but I'm sure eventually we will find out. And I'll continue to report on this case to the 3 people that show up in chat. Honestly, to be fair, I'm not too excited about doing lives at this point because, I mean, it's a waste of my time, honestly. It really is. I'd rather be in Discord if I'm going to have 4 people talking to me. You know what I mean? But regardless, thank you all who took time out of their day to come in here and to watch the live, to have interest in this case, because it's always awesome to find something new to dive into. You know what I mean? I don't know what other people are wanting to see, but I'm really on a different path. And I'm not going backwards. So thank you all so much for being here. Maestro, Cue that music.